Hello, I'm William Gallagher. This is Mac and N. One more thing, and I have a button to press. Actually, I've been thinking about this all day, and I reckon so far today I've pressed at least, let me count, a lot of buttons. Most of them on keyboards, but also an awful lot on my iPhone, my iPads, my kettle. Now, one more tap gets me Malcolm Owen. Malcolm, hello.
That was so bad acting.
So basically, you're pressing my buttons, is what you're saying now.
I'm pushing your buttons, man. I'm pushing your buttons.
Right, I'm building something here. I'm building here. Malcolm Owen, are you not sick of having to press buttons, to tap and press and swipe? Don't you prefer talking? Because frankly, if you don't, this is going to be a very quiet podcast, but I won't feel picked on. You know why I'm saying this, don't you? This week is Viv week. Malcolm, explain to me, what is Viv?
Well, a Viv is short for vivarium. It's usually a large glass tank that's used to keep reptiles, especially snakes, and I've seen one used for iguanas before. Usually they're to keep the animals in a temperate environment.
Well, thank you very much. Shorter podcast this week than usual. Back next time. Okay, there's something else, isn't it, going on? A bit techy, a bit more down the one more thing line. I actually think I'm more excited about this than you, but you actually know the technical side of it more than I do. Viv from the makers of
that thing that I can't remember the name of. It's also short, begins with S and ends with Erie. What's it called?
Cortana.
No.
It's another one, isn't there? Google Now. Viv is the new Siri / Cortana / Google Now / all sorts of things. And the thing I'm interested and excited about it because I know it was out and launched, but it isn't really out and it isn't really launched. We've just been kind of shown a bit. What have we been shown?
Well, shown at TechCrunch Disrupt. Viv, which is from the people behind Siri, and I can't think of anything else right now. Viv is basically yet another virtual digital assistant type thing. You press a button, you say something, it goes and does it. But unlike Siri and all the others, this one is supposed to be more intelligent in terms of connecting to other services. So, for example, and you can ask, could you book me a hotel in Torremolinos or somewhere more upscale for $500 next month?
And clearly the answer is, I could, but I'm not gonna. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yes, no. While if you may request some sort of service from an assistant normally, it may start going through the process by taking you to a specific app. Viv, on the other hand, doesn't do that. It does the actual what the app would do for you. So, for example, if you wanted to say, could you Uber me a ride home in 10 minutes? Viv will say, okay, well, here's a ride. Do you want to take it? Yes, that'll do, and it's booked. So you can do things like that. You can say, could you order my usual from Domino's? Which I know is an extremely sad and worrying thing to say if you've got a usual from Domino's. But you could do that, and it. Yes.
I thought we don't know a voice yet, do we? We don't know whether it's a male or female voice, but matters for pronoun usage.
Well, to be fair, we are talking Viv here, and Viv could be Vivian as in Westwood, or Viv as in the character from the show that I've forgotten, Young Ones, that's it.
I actually think we forget how astounding voice control is at all. I mean, in the 80s and 90s, it was this thing that was coming, but yeah, it wasn't. It was science fiction, and it was unbelievably science fiction. I mean, the immense difficulty of taking audio and knowing what's a word and what's background noise, then passing that word into commands, dealing with context. It is incredible what we have. And we're so ungrateful. I mean, I go around bitching basically about Siri. I love Siri, but I swear it has good days and bad days. All of it is always remarkable. All of them are.
Here's the forecast for today.
A typical grilled cheese sandwich made with 2 slices of white bread, margarine, and 26 grams of processed American or cheddar cheese contains 291 calories.
Michael, a vehicle is approaching at high speed.
Hi, I'm Cortana.
The other thing is, I think back in the 80s I would have used this technology with glee, whatever I needed to do for it. Now I seem to need more. I need it on my iPhone, really. I need it to be there natively. So I have tried Cortana and I have tried Google Now, for instance, and there's good and bad about them both, but I honestly can't remember what because I completely forget them. Whereas Siri, I use with glee. I use it on my phone, I use it on my watch, I would use it on my Mac if it was ever available for it. You're an Android user. Is it the same for you? You use whatever's native on the Android phone?
Yeah, with my device, I simply use Google Voice Search. But weirdly, I would have thought that I'd be someone who would embrace virtual assistants generally, but weirdly, no. I mean, the worst I do is asking stupid facts. For example, who's the lead protagonist in whatever film? Or how tall is a giraffe? Or other inane things that would be handy in a pub quiz, but not. No, I do not cheat in pub quizzes. But
So I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, but generally speaking, I don't. The worst I do to a virtual assistant is to ask them to set a timer.
Oh yeah, I do that a lot.
And that's about it. I don't trust any of them enough to say, call mum. Calling your boss. Unless you say cancel. Calling them quicker. You know, it's just I don't trust them enough. Given here's a stupid thing actually. One of the earlier voice assistants or recognition systems on a phone I had for Nokia. A Nokia, whatever the name of the flat one was with the QWERTY keyboard.
Is that the communicator?
No. There was another one that's almost like a BlackBerry, but Nokia. It was lovely. It had an impressive metal case and so on. I discovered it had a voice recognition system, and so one evening, myself and my friends were completely and totally sober, setting it off and saying rude things to it to try and make it say those things or to work out what stupid action it would do, like setting a timer after saying something extremely rude or risque. And we happened upon, if I said one specific phrase that I'm not going to utter right now, the phone would crash.
Okay, wow. Let's make that the title of this episode.
No, we can't. Not allowed to do that, really.
Spoil.
But it was weird. It was work reliably and only with my voice. Which I still don't understand what caused it, but it does.
It's
or
personal.
Did.
It's personal. I use Siri immensely. As you were saying that, I was realised more and more. Whenever I'm out driving, I think of something, I will ask Siri to remind me later. I log various expenses in Siri, car parks, and I'm walking back to the car, just make a note of it through that. One I use an awful lot that I kind of don't like is I will ask Siri to tell my wife and then say a message, and it will text her. I don't call her my wife or something, she's Angela, but if I say tell Angela, then I actually have a few Angelas in my address book and it will say which one. So tell my wife and off it goes. I do check the weather a lot. That seems to be a thing with artificial intelligence, checking the weather. It's very British, isn't it? Obsession with the weather. I do look up a lot of things. I'm actually astonished how much I use it.
I think for me it's mostly a case of I'm still having to get over the mental block of I'm pressing a button or saying a command phrase to turn it on and then saying it, and having to do that all openly and publicly. It still feels quite stupid that I'm talking to an inanimate object. And
well, you don't mix with the people I do.
Yeah. But It is that problem. I just can't get past that point. If I can get past that point and can easily just talk to it, then I'll probably use it a lot more. There's also the fact that I don't usually go outside that often.
No, hang on. That's one thing I don't understand, Inspector. You have a problem talking in public, but you don't often go out in public.
Well, when I don't go out in public, I'm sat at my computer. And quite frankly, I can get a much more refined response if I'm going into my browser and start typing away whatever the query is, and then I've got a large list of answers to have in front of me, instead of having to go with whatever the virtual assistant thinks might be the most relevant answer and then offers that to me, and it may not necessarily be the best result. And I do kind of prefer that over a voice assistant, at least here. If I'm going out there, it makes more sense to use the voice assistant because no keyboard. But at the same time, you are talking to yourself in public, or at least talking to your phone in public, and it's just...
It's true, we have lost something. You can no longer tell who are nutters on the street just talking to themselves and who's got a Bluetooth headset. I want to move on. I don't know how. Let me move on to something completely different and pretend I got there in a sensible way. Spotify. There you go. Spotify is obviously the music service, or is it? Because now it's basically making TV shows, I think. I've got an example of a TV show it wants to make, and it sounds... Well, am I right that they're TV shows? Or is this just, I don't know, music videos or something?
Well, just to be clear here, Spotify, 1 year ago, they announced that they were going to be bringing streamable videos and podcasts to its service so that people could not only listen to music but also watch stuff on their phones while they're out and about. At the time, they said they put in content from the BBC, ABC, NBC, other three-digit acronyms, and Vice Media. And now they've decided we're going to make some original content because we want to be like Netflix. So they've come up with 12 concepts for shows, which, well, I have to say then, although you might think they're quite bad, or not exactly brilliant, or however you want to think or describe it, the collection's not really that horrible. I've seen worse elsewhere.
Well, I can think of a place. Well, let's give you an example of this. I quote, a show called Rush Hour. 2 hip-hop artists, brackets, 1 legend, 1 young buck. I'm quoting here, 1 young buck, close brackets, are picked up in a van during the height of LA rush hour.
Whoa.
As they drive...
No, you're doing it in the wrong voice.
Did I get something wrong? It's the best voice.
No, you need to do the...
Siri likes this voice.
No, you need to do the serious movie voice.
Right, if you heard the rest of this, I'm not sure the in a world where voice would quite qualify. Yeah. 2 hip-hop artists, 1 legend, 1 young buck, are picked up in a van during the height of LA rush hour. As they drive to an undisclosed location, they must come up with a remix or mashup of one of their well-known tracks. Once done, they arrive at the downtown LA parking lot stage of Russell Simeon's new company, All Deaf Digital, which is a pretty disclosed location when I think about it, where they perform their new collaboration, brackets, as well as other songs, before a crowd of raucous superfans. I'll tell you what that reminds me of. It reminds me of this.
Cooking in prison. A partridge amongst the pigeons.
What's that?
Well, it's just a title. I mean, opening sequence, me in Trafalgar Square, feeding the pigeons, going, oh, God.
No, I'm sorry. No, stop.
Youth hosteling with Chris Eubank. Monkey tennis?
Alan Partridge, Steve Coogan, in BBC show, trying desperately to pitch to the BBC to make various shows. Look, actually, looking at the long list of 12, you called them concepts, didn't you?
Well, I didn't call them concepts. They were described as concepts.
Okay, are you backing away from this term? Are you disowning? Are you distancing
I didn't
yourself?
even use the term in the first place. I said concepts, but I didn't mean concepts. I'm just quoting.
Of course you didn't. Right. No. Okay. How in the world do AI, things like Siri, understand people when we talk like we do? I'm being cruel calling it monkey tennis, though actually I'd probably watch monkey tennis. Do we know when we're going to see any or all of these Spotify shows?
We should do starting this summer.
Actually, that's a thought. I won't see it because I'm not on Spotify.
Nor am I.
I did try it. I had a go with it before Apple Music was even a publicly announced gleam in anybody's eye, and it was all right. I just found it a bit fiddly, and I only ever remember to do it when I was in the car and played it. I got bored.
I've just had a thought, actually.
I know. Oh, yes.
Just looking through this list, and just think carefully about this. Can you think of a TV channel or collection of TV channels that is known to be for music but doesn't actually include music?
MTV?
That's the one. Looking through this list, which includes shows which celebrate some artists, documentary shows about musicians, playlist trading between celebrities, performances. This is basically what MTV was before it decided to become the Jersey Shore channel.
There's actually a historical reason why MTV went that route, though, which is quite interesting. They didn't choose to abandon the music video format. Music videos were not being made anymore because of the finances, because people weren't buying music anymore. So MTM gets a lot of shtick for going away from things, but they kind of did it because they had to fill the time and they had to survive. I think it's a shame that we've lost what it was. I don't like what it is, but then maybe I'm just too old now.
Well, the thing is, I found MTV's scheduling to be moving further and further away from being about music and being about, well, other things. I have absolutely no idea why Jersey Shore is a thing.
Okay, harsh about the views, but I take your point about the music thing. Okay, you've actually turned me around a little on this, except I still won't watch them because I still won't go for Spotify because I am now on Apple Music and I do like it. I mean, Amber Neely, who's on Mac and N, was asking both of us the other day what we like about it, whether you can do certain things, and I realised it came down to, for me, it is a good service, Apple Music, but it's also the fact that it's there. It's it's on my iPhone, it's on my iMac all the time, whereas the others aren't. And so it's exactly the same for me as Siri and the rest. I have tried Spotify. It's technical, like I said. I've tried Pandora, but it made no impact on me. I've forgotten this. I had to check through my emails that I ever signed up for it. But there are all these competing services. There is now Apple Music. The other news about Spotify that surprised and actually pleased me this week is that despite the launch of Apple Music being seemingly at least quite a success, Spotify is not only doing okay, it's actually growing because of it. Do you know by how much? Have they said by how much?
Well, they say they got 100 million users in 59 markets. I'm guessing that a market is a country, and I'm guessing a user is an individual.
That would make sense. I have no idea what they had before. I do know that Apple said... No, has Apple actually said it, or are people just figuring it out? It's something like 13 million since its launch. So that's obviously a lot less than Spotify. But why don't they just tell us figures, all of these people?
Well, you've also got to remember that the 100 million that Spotify is claiming is for users. It's not necessarily for subscribers.
Oh, because there is a free... Is there still a free version of Spotify? The ad-supported one. All right, that's what I tried. And every 3 songs you get an advert, basically, for Spotify. I'd forgotten that. I think I even came close, because I was using it a lot. I was starting to feel a little guilty. And then Apple Music came along, and I thought, well, I'll just put my money there instead. Okay, 100 million then. I wish I knew how many they had. Whatever the number is, 100 million is a nice base. It's going to attract business and advertisers and all this. So Spotify seems to be doing well. What I'm not clear about is how much they're growing and how much they're, beefing up the fact that they're doing well. But hopefully they're doing well. They're expanding into all these areas, which I didn't like. And now you've completely persuaded me about. I think, though, I hadn't realised I was still talking to you, but is that business that I only use Siri because it's there? I won't press that extra button to get Cortana. I won't listen to Spotify because I've got to press 2 whole buttons to do it, where Apple Music is right there. I'm a lazy little git, really, aren't I? And before you leap in there with, no, William, you're not.
No, I'm not going to try that. Everyone, being lazy is sometimes a virtue. Being constructively lazy is brilliant.
You see, you help me and then you take away the help. I'm just going to move up to this. I am actually better than I was about 54 weeks ago. And I can be that precise because I am a bit better because of my Apple Watch. Now, there is this story this week that Apple Watch and all the healthy things it does and ResearchKit and these other Apple things are actually not the fault of Steve Jobs, but at the behest of Steve Jobs. Have I got that right, Malcolm? What is the story on this?
The core of the story is basically Steve Jobs, he obviously passed on and he went through a lot of, I'm going to say, hell with his affliction at that time. But really speaking, I think the story is more a case of the US health system is extremely horrible and hostile to the patient. He probably wanted at least to try and make it so that other people didn't have to go through as much hell, or to streamline it in some way. But that's going to be something that's going to be extremely difficult for anyone to fix, let alone someone who's not a politician.
So actually, that sounds like it is true. I mean, he did go through hell, like you said. Lots of people go through hell, of course, but he was in a position to at least start something about it. So maybe it's true. I read this headline that the Apple Watch was created by Steve Jobs, really, to summarise it. And it's like, where we get this all the time, that anything good that Apple does has to be because of Steve Jobs. Even now, all these 5 years now? 2011 he died. 5 years, good grief. That he's still having this impact on it. And I think that's a testament to all he did, but it's also a bit of an insult to all the people that are still there. But actually, this would make sense, doesn't it? Apple is doing, I don't know, it's certainly not the only company doing health-related stuff, but it's made a massive difference for it. And I kind of like that maybe it was because of their own needing for it. That's good. I like that. Let's get away from something serious, though, and hell things. Something I understand is really important. Gosh, so important. Super Mario coming to Minecraft on the Wii U. Is this a thing?
Yes, it is a bit of a thing. Are you familiar with Minecraft?
Well, I work in school sometimes, and the number of times kids have asked me about what I do in Minecraft, and well, they gasp because I shrug. I'm conscious of what it is. I've never typed the word, let alone actually played the game. Is that?
I'd say originally it was a game. Yes, it's basically digital Lego. And it's very flexible in terms of what you can do. You have the equivalent of wiring and switches and everything you can construct. So there are people who are making these fantastic contraptions. People have made working calculators.
Minecraft is this ecosystem. And now Super Mario does whatever. What does Super Mario do? Does he mine or is he a plumber?
Well, Mario, rather than Super Mario, he is traditionally speaking a plumber. So I don't. I think it's less of a case of being educational, more as a promotional thing for, hey, why don't you come over and buy the Wii U and use it? Please use the Wii U. Please.
I've just got to ask. Mario's first name isn't Super.
No, I believe he's called Mario.
Okay. Using the Wii U, by chance, yesterday, I got out my Wii Fit, and it told me it's been 2,547 days since I last used it. And funnily enough, I actually asked Siri, I can't remember the exact number for it, but I said, what was the date that many days ago? And it said something like, sometime in March 2009. Now, obviously I switched this off immediately. But since I was last playing games on it, or running or skiing, whatever it is I used to do, the Wii U has come in and kind of gone, hasn't it? I mean, I'm vaguely aware of the name, but is it a success? You don't sound like it is.
No, it's not really that much of a success. At least if you compare it to the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, it's definitely not a success. It's it's difficult to go into the reasons as to why it's not a success, but basically it's... If you look at the amount of games you've got there, you have your core Nintendo collection of what you'd expect to play on a Nintendo console-style games, and a bit more, and that's about it. It's not really been a massive success compared to not only other consoles, but also the Wii. The Wii, just from Wii Sports alone, they sold a stupid amount of consoles.
Was Sport a killer app for the Wii then?
Well, yeah, it came with it free, and it basically meant that people could play Wii bowling at home without having to get out a cheap bowling set or something like that.
And all the mayhem that could ensue.
Yeah, do you remember all the news reports of people in nursing homes playing Wii Fit and all that?
No,
You don't remember? Don't remember
No.
those? No, these are actual reports from on TV shows, on actual televised news.
On MTV?
No, on normal TV like the BBC and ITN and whatever the other news
I remember the
agency is.
BBC. So how many times 2,540 odd days have I got to go before I'm switching on my Wii Fit in an old age? I want to suddenly get off this point completely. Malcolm, clear my head, put me out of it. Thingy of the week.
Well, this is something that's actually kind of personal to me, but I might as well use it as a public safety announcement to anyone in the UK. Buy fans now. This is going to sound so much like someone who's shilling for the stock market. Buy fans now, not later. Buy them now. They're only going to go up in price.
Do you mean actual physical fans that go round and round? You don't mean buying followers on Twitter?
No, I mean as in the physical thing that blows air into your face and makes you feel slightly cooler fans.
Okay. I see the logic here.
It's because...
Summer is coming.
Well, yeah, summer is coming. But yeah, at the moment, in the UK at least, we've had for the last weekend quite a lot of warm weather. I know this because I was outside in it for once. And that warm weather also transfers into the house. And so yesterday I found this room that I'm working in, although it's quite a large room and therefore it's not as bad as the previous office I was in. It was sweltering and really horrible, and Malcolm wasn't a happy Malcolm. So I sent someone out to buy a fan from a nearby store, and they had one fan in storage, and that was it. They had no other fans in the store. So I was lucky. I now have a desk fan. No, not a desk fan, a pedestal fan. That's it. I now have a pedestal fan, which is useful but not switched on because I'm recording right now. But after this recording, I'm going to just turn it on, stand in front of it, and go.
I'm going to look into the present for my thingy of the week, because this is the biggest thingy of the week I've ever picked. But I'm also going to do it in the shortest amount of time, because my absolute thingy, the thing that's quite obsessing me at the moment, is FileMaker Pro 15, launched this week, and which gets not just one, but two hands-on reviews on Mac NN. And I know this because I've written both of them. One is for people who've never used FileMaker at all. It's, is it worth getting? And the answer obviously actually is yes, if you need this and this. It's a very good app, but it's very powerful. And then there's a completely separate one for, is it worth upgrading? So you're already invested in the FileMaker, another ecosystem, and is it worth you spending some cash to get the new version? And actually, the answer is yes, if you need this and this. It takes a lot of time to explain this, because FileMaker is a giant application, and it's as easy to use as it could be, but that doesn't mean it's simple. And I've had a really good time spending a lot of hours this week just playing with the new features. Have a look on macnn.com for two, count them, two FileMaker Pro Refuse. Oh, hang on, sorry. Malcolm, my Apple Watch just told me it's time to stand. Okay, right, I'm out of here. Can I leave you to press the buttons to end the show? Thank you, and goodbye.
Well, sorry, really? You just depart? Hello? Hello? Brilliant.